Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 241 of the Power of Your Mind podcast. In this episode, we are talking about, is there an entrepreneur inside of you? I'm hypnotist Jim Kellner, and I am co-hosting once again, for the incredible, wonderful Victoria Gallagher, law of attraction hypnotist and number one best-selling author of The Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. She's the founder of HipTalk.com and the HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the App Store. And with that, let's welcome Victoria Gallagher with a lot of applause, everybody.
Woo, hello. Yay. Hi. Hello, people. Hello, Jim.
Hello. Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. Doing great, really. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. We are moving right along on our app development, and that's like such a big goal of mine, obviously. I'm
Yeah.
sure if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you've heard me talk about it for a long time. And since this episode is scheduled to air, sometime in January, we're probably pretty close, if not already there.
Yes.
I think I was saying, though, back in the July, September episodes, I think I was talking about November being the launch date, but here we are recording this in November, and we're looking at January.
Yeah.
So,
It's a bummer for sure.
if you guys ever think about developing an app, I'm just here to discourage you.
You think you call up a company, you give them a bunch of money, and you think they could just do it.
Right? Oh, yeah. No, it certainly cannot work that way. No, I mean, I should be practicing a little bit more of my manifesting and law of
Right.
attraction techniques. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, I'll just address that very quickly. I mean, and it's just because you have this information, you deliver this information, you talk about this information, there's just some days where you just it's just not that easy, and
Right.
I'm just the first to share with you. It's like, you are always powerfully manifesting whatever you think about, what vibration you're putting out there, whatever visualization you have. And sometimes you become the definition of insanity because you will be, imagining the worst, thinking the worst, feeling the worst, and expecting things to be the best when it just obviously doesn't work that way. You just got more work to do on yourself. And, it's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did these people start messing up first or did I project that out there and now I'm getting what I want? Either way, you got to pick yourself up and you got to dust yourself off, and you've got to just work on it again. And eventually, positive ultimately, I think, does win over negativity. And, we have that tendency in each and every one of us. And I'm no better, no different. I just have been doing it a lot longer, and I become aware a little more quickly. But, anyway, so enough about that soapbox. That's just part of that's just part of getting involved in, sometimes, making your dreams come true. And your dream is super huge, like mine is.
Right.
Like the universe sometimes is like, are you really ready for this? That's another way that you can look at it too. Is like, it kind of can put a lot of little roadblocks in your way. Maybe the world's not quite ready for my app yet.
Right.
So
Well, I was trying to remind myself too that if it was easy, then more people would be doing it. There'd be more competition. Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that stop along the way. And so as long as you keep going, I mean, you're guaranteed more success, at least, than those folks who stopped.
It's so true. I mean, when I became a hypnotist and I went through my hypnosis training, and we had probably in my class, I want to say there was a good little over, like, I want to say, it's a long time ago. So I'm like
Yeah.
drawing from images from 24 years ago, but I want to say
Right.
there was roughly 20 people in my class. And and I got certified in the state of Nevada, and I went through my business license and everything in the state of Nevada. And at that time, back in 1999, to get a business license, first of all, to legally conduct business and and get an office, and rent an office, you had to have a business license. And so, in order
Ah,
to get the business license, you had to jump through all these crazy hoops. You had to fill out, literally, I'm holding 2 inches of, distance in my fingers, like the stack
mhm.
of paperwork to get my business license, like that. I mean, literally, they had to do a
Wow.
background check. Oh, it was crazy. And they
Hmm.
categorized me in the psychic arts, and so
Oh
they just
God.
put me through, because there wasn't any
Oh,
kind of, this there
right.
and so they put me through so much scrutiny, so much background check. I had to actually go in front of the board, the city board, and like be voted on, and state my.
Wow.
Oh, it was crazy. So how many people out of my class do you think actually went through that process? It took me 4 months to get my business license. And ultimate 4 months, and with this huge background check, that's the background check that ultimately led to the eventual having to quit my job, because my branch manager found out what I was doing,
Oh,
and
I see.
because of that process. And
Mm.
so it was, and so the more hoops, the bigger the barrier to entry, the less people are actually going to be successful at it. It was a big, big deal. I mean, these days I don't think it's quite as difficult to practice hypnotherapy. I guess depending on what state you're in, it can be, there can be a barrier to entry. I think in some states you can't call yourself a hypnotherapist,
Mm.
unless you have your psychology degree, or something along that line. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Uh,
so that's just a little bit about, the barrier to entry on some of these businesses. Some are easier, some are more difficult.
yeah, and I think that's, I mean, that's a great lead into for this show. So for if people are out there and they may be wondering, because one of the problems with being a hypnotherapist is that, you know, you don't necessarily go get hired somewhere. I mean, there's rare occasions where there might be someone that'll hire you to be a hypnotherapist in their clinic. For the most part, you got to be an entrepreneur. And so I think one of the main things we need to find out is, how do I know if I'm an entrepreneur or not?
That's such a good question, because a lot of times, yeah, you're right. You'll go and you'll get certified as a hypnotherapist, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you know hypnotherapy means that you know anything about running a business, marketing yourself. The whole, I mean, there's so much involved in getting business and attracting clients into your business, and all of that. And so, there's no real exact answer to this question. There's so many things that make you an entrepreneur. And, you could have just, a great personality. You could have the interest. It could be your environment that you live in. But, some people think that, they're entrepreneurs because they have an idea to start a business, and they start it. But the truth is that, not every person is necessarily cut out to do the work of an entrepreneur. Not, and so it is a question you really will either discover for yourself when you start on the path to entrepreneurship. When I think it's definitely a personal development endeavor to even put yourself into the role of having to essentially create your own income, and create your,
Right.
that is probably, to me, it's like one of the best personal growth endeavors, because I mean, you really have to change some things about yourself, to make it work sometimes. And so some people have the drive to succeed, some people have the work ethic to succeed. And and you also have to ask yourself, do you have the ability to take the risk? Because it's always a risk. I mean, working for yourself, you don't get you have to create your paycheck every
Yeah.
single month in, month out. And
Yeah.
whereas if you're not an entrepreneur, you're getting paid. And so there's just a lot of things like, am I willing to get out of my comfort zone? Am I willing to get up, each day? Do I have the passion? Do I have a great idea? What makes me unique? Because each and every person, I mean, like, and this is one of the things when it comes to like being a hypnotherapist, a lot of hypnotherapists out there kind of feel like, oh, the business, the industry is saturated. There's so many hypnotherapists. There's more hypnotherapists coming onto the market, or hypnotists, or whatever you want to call it, even stage hypnotists. But if you can come up with something, just because you have the skill of being a hypnotist doesn't necessarily mean that you need to call yourself a hypnotist, or only do it the way that you were taught to do it in your certification training. You can combine so many things. I mean, for me personally, first was all of my personal development experiences. Second was all of the books that I had read. Then I became a hypnotherapist. Then I also coupled on top of that, was really learning about the law of attraction. So I've really created a niche of one, because no one else does exactly what I do, exactly the way I do it, between the book, the app, the podcast, practicing hypnotherapy, teaching people about law of attraction. There's no one else that does exactly what I do. And I think everyone has that exact same opportunity inside of them, so it's all about, so just another thing to ask yourself is, do you have a collection of unique skills, talents, interests, passions that you can package together and present yourself as, a unique solution to someone's problem?
Yeah. I and it's so interesting, like when you look at um the hypnotherapy space, the coaching space, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, if you click around to some websites, you're going to see most of them look exactly the same.
Hmm.
Most of them have the exact same messaging going on. And so, yeah, it's going to be tough because you really are competing with every other coach, hypnotherapist, stage hypnotist, everything. And so, like you said, you've got to do something that's going to differentiate you. Um, Even if it's just being more vocal, that's one of the things that I think is great about doing this. You know, um, so many hypnotherapists are afraid to put themselves in front of the camera and get known by the public, or even write blogs and things like that, which those are the ways that people get to know you and then like you and trust you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's all about how you put yourself out there, and the authenticity of it, and just being real. I find, even for myself, because I'm, a little bit of a perfectionist, and because I teach people how to grow, how to attract things, how to manifest things. Sometimes I get caught up in having to look perfect and look like I have it all together, and like everything's going, splendid and perfectly in my life at all times. And it's just not realistic. And I have found that at my most vulnerable moments, those are the moments that people actually respect me the most, that
Yeah.
people see my leadership the most, because I'm allowing myself to express something that I'm going through, because we all have this perception that oh, if you're a coach or a hypnotherapist, or you're teaching people or leading people, or you've written books and you're number one best-selling author, or you've got these apps, you've got this podcast, you've got all these things. It's like, oh, your life is just, just, you just roll out
Perfect.
of bed and, all
Right.
these things happen. It's like, no, I get up and I make these things happen, and I have my own challenges that I have to push through. And it's by showing and exposing. That is the combination of expressing and
Right.
exposing.
New word.
But it's through that's perfect self-expression, I call it. When I say perfect self-expression, I mean you're expressing how you really are, how it really is for you, not how you want the world to perceive you. And there's a difference between that. And it's easy to get caught up in that. How does so if you have the ability to be vulnerable and express yourself, and I think you're already miles ahead of the game, because everybody else can like relate to you. And when you're relatable, you're just going to be that much more attractive to to getting getting people to know, like, and trust you.
Absolutely. Um, so what are some of the challenges that you've seen and experienced, that people, need to know about if they want to become an entrepreneur?
So there's a lot of challenges that do come with, being an entrepreneur, because, like, you look at the end goal, you look at the end game of like, well, what are the benefits of being an entrepreneur first? Is really that, you have this lifestyle of freedom. You can work when you want, you can, make unlimited money. You can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want. It's like, it to me, like, there's no other way to live, in my opinion. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
could I
agree.
couldn't see it any other way. Even if even through the bad challenges, bad times and all of that, I'd still rather be doing this than working, for Amazon.com, or, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they weren't even around when I first became an entrepreneur. But
Interestingly, I guess we both we both got trained about the same time. That's what I didn't start doing it until much later, but we got trained about, I was 1999, 2000 when I went
oh,
through my training as
wow.
well.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, cool. Yeah, mine was, yeah, literally February of 99. And yeah, February through April, was the hypnotist training, and then the hypnotherapist training, and then I did a little bit of extra stuff and weight loss specialist and NLP, and even took a little EMDR class. I was just like,
Mm.
just getting all of this, the skills that I could possibly absorb. It was just like, I just never stopped learning. I mean, that's like my favorite thing to do, is learning. But getting back to the challenges, the biggest challenge, that's kind of the most obvious challenge, is that it's a risk. And it's not just a risk with your money, but it's a risk of time. It's a risk of your energy. It's a risk of um trying something that maybe you may not succeed at. And so you run the risk of, your self-confidence, even, because if you go for something and you fail at it, then that's a detriment. That can be a detriment to your self-confidence. Entrepreneurs sometimes face bankruptcy. I actually faced bankruptcy in the first year that I was an entrepreneur. I mean, we hadn't gone into all those details on my show yet, but like, literally that same year that I quit my job and everything. And I also uh when I quit the job, I'm a healthy 28-year-old, with, not thinking of any issues with my health at all. And I end up in the hospital with lung collapse. And
Wow.
I didn't get the insurance. Like, how they offer you the Cobra insurance
Cobra.
when you,
Yeah.
And, it's very difficult actually to get insurance as an entrepreneur as well.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
you have to find, the right companies, and it can be very expensive to invest in your own health insurance. So at the time, I go into the hospital for 10 days with no health insurance.
Boy.
And, that racked up about a good over $30,000 worth of debt. And that's $30,000 in 1999 dollars.
Right.
And on top of that, I had just kind of gone through a divorce. And unfortunately, during the divorce, my husband and I didn't split up our debts. We didn't have assets to split up. We had debts to split up.
Mm.
And so at that time, all of our credit cards were still in joint name. And so he went through hard financial times before I did. And he, claimed bankruptcy. And so all of the credit card debt that was in our joint
Wow.
name,
Oof.
which after we got divorced, he was depressed. He didn't know how, he didn't have enough money, and he racked up a good $25,000 on in addition to what we already had together in these debts. So all of that after he filed bankruptcy came over to me. Not to mention all of my own expenses that I was having to put on my credit cards due to not having a job
Yeah.
myself, that I was racking up all of this debt. So it eventually led to bankruptcy, all that to say. And and that's of course embarrassing. And it was and so that's just another risk that you can go through depending on how far you're going to go with it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to, you could always quit.
Yeah.
I kind of chose to endure the challenge. But the other thing is, it's just, it does require a lot of hard work, and it does require having to take the ultimate level of responsibility and perseverance in order to make your business successful. And it does come with stress. So these are just the downsides of it. These are the things to ask yourself, can I endure these types of challenges? Because I would never turn anybody off from becoming an entrepreneur, but you have to kind of like set the expectations to know what you may go through. And not everybody goes
Right.
through every one of these hardships. I just happen to, like to learn all of my lessons completely.
Right.
So I went through them all. It's been a very thorough study of myself and personal development. But once you learn the lessons, you never, if you really really learn it and you integrate it, you never go back to having, you only repeat the lessons that you didn't actually learn.
I'm reminded of a coaching client I had one time, and she wanted to be a coach, and she'd gone through some kind of coach training or something, and this was years ago, and blogging was still kind of the big thing to get, attract people to your website and that kind of thing, and so that was one of her goals, and so we set the goal, and then we kept working on it, and then finally she just told me, she goes I work at the coffee shop and I get $18 an hour, so it's going to take me 2 hours to do this blog that I'm not getting paid for, so it doesn't make sense for me to do the blog when I could work those extra 2 hours and get paid. And I in my mind I was like, well, you're not an entrepreneur,
Right.
because you and I are both, all of us that are entrepreneurs, we're working on projects today that we are not going to get any kind of compensation for months or even years, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
even like your app, the big app that you're working on now, you're I know you've invested a lot of money. You're probably not going to recoup all of that money for a long time.
You're right. You're right. I mean, and it kind of reminds me back, like I had the opposite thinking. I remember back when I was, kind of going through the rough patch, and everybody was telling me, it's like, well, why don't you go and get a part-time job? And I said, well,
Yeah.
because every hour that I spend working for somebody else,
Oh,
I could
yes.
be I could be investing into growing my own business. And that's taking time away from my business. So I had just like the opposite
Yeah.
way of thinking about it. Even though you're not getting an immediate return in the, the salary that you can see on some kind of, paycheck, there is a return. And I do strongly believe that even if you don't necessarily see the returns of something that you invested this month or in 3 months or 6 months or a year or even 5 years, the energy is never destroyed. All of the
True.
energy that you put into your business, you will eventually, I believe you will eventually make that money back. And, it's with the, with the app that I'm building right now. Yeah, it's probably going to take a couple of years, to really see the return based on the amount of money that I've invested on that. But when you have a passion for something, and that's the other thing too. I think one of the biggest things, and been a lesson for me too, is to not be so caught up, like not get so caught up in the money
Yeah.
aspect of things.
Right.
I think that was one of the things that made my business grow and that made me a success in the very beginning is I said to myself, when I was a stockbroker and I, started finding myself making these recordings and getting the transformation, of people through these recordings. I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, I don't even care how much money I make. Like, that's just what I want to do. I just want to have this huge library of all of these amazing recordings that people can buy and use at will in the comfort of their own home and make the transformation, because that's what life is all about. And if I can help, it's like if I have my life all together and I'm happy, the only thing that I would ever want to do is make other people have their life all together and happy. So I said, well, since that's never gonna like be, you're never gonna totally feel like, oh, I've made it. Like there's never gonna be a time where, you say, the angels are gonna come down from the sky and, the confetti is gonna drop on your head. And it's like, all of a sudden the stars have lined up and it's like somebody says you made it. Like
Damn.
you don't, I mean, there's all these little moments along the way where you kind of feel like you made it. Maybe when you launched that book, maybe when the app launches, maybe when you get your first 10,000 or first 100,000 or whatever. Maybe when, so there's all these little making it points along the way. But as soon as you hit that $10,000 month, you're like, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40, 50,000, 100,000, like what's next? So there's,
Yeah.
or however many people that you've helped and served. And so, there's never like, so, and the other thing too, is like a lot of people, they get into this business, they get into entrepreneurship as a means to an end, and that's kind of the wrong way to look at it. You want to like actually be in this business because you have a message and you're here to serve people. It's not about how much money you're going to make. It's like, how many people can I serve? I am here to serve people. I am here to help people. I'm here to transform people. I'm here to prevent people from going through some of the misery and the pain, that maybe I went through, and, and help people in that way. And a lot of people just kind of have it backwards. It's like, well, how fast can I make $1 million? What business can I get to so that I can, finally, uh, you know, make that, that money. And anybody that I've ever studied that, really made it big, they didn't have money as their goal. It was never their goal. It was always, they made a lot of money, but they made it their mission to help others. And so the glue that keeps you motivated and driven as an entrepreneur is that you're just in the flow, and you're doing something that you love to do, that you were meant to do. And as a result of that, life rewards you, life reciprocates, people reciprocate and pay you according to the service that you're rendering mankind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Um, so much good stuff in there. And just getting away from the focus on money is huge. I mean, yeah, I can't even, tell me, so what is it? I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm like working on things right now going, boy, I could be making a lot more money if I would just, do more shows or see more clients or something, but I'm working on big things that I may never see a return on, but it's important stuff
It
anyway.
is. It really is. It really is. And I think yeah, when you keep it in that perspective, that's where really, the ironically, like the payoff always comes when you're not looking for the payoff.
Well, funny, I so I was offered a keynote speech for an upcoming conference, and I told my
Ooh.
wife, and she said, "And thank you," and she said, "How much does that pay?" And I was like, "Uh, I don't think it pays anything." And she was like, it costs a lot of money to go." I'm like, we do it for other reasons than just the money, and there may be some pay. I don't know, but it's funny the way as from where I'm coming from, I'm like, it's just an honor. It's an opportunity to spread good good vibes and stuff. And um, anyway, so
Just the
different
title
perspectives.
of keynote speaker in and of itself is the payment as far as
Exactly.
I'm concerned.
Exactly. That's I think she's starting to understand. She's an artist, so
Yeah.
she understands that it's not all about the money.
Yeah.
But what is it to be what does it mean to be an entrepreneur?
So I believe that entrepreneurs are people who turn their ideas into reality. So, they're idea creators, whether they have an idea and they bring it to fruition themselves, or they're people that have an idea and then hire a whole team of people to bring that idea. I think in the truest sense, and an entrepreneur really is just the idea creator and the overseer of having that whole thing come to fruition. I mean, like, if I'm really to ask myself, like, am I an entrepreneur or am I like a business owner? I would have to say I am probably a little bit more of a business owner with an entrepreneurial mindset.
Hmm,
And, because really I mean, I do hire people to get things done, but let's face it. I mean, this business couldn't run without me. And I
right.
think
Yeah.
in the truest sense, if we're really, really talking about in the highest sense, you as an entrepreneur, you create a business that uh, is self-sustaining and that is completely, you could exit the business and it would still run. And so, that to me is a little bit more of the highest level. But, it's really somebody that ultimately has a vision for making the world a better place and turning their ideas into reality. And, it's a mindset, and it's a mindset that I believe, some of us are maybe a little bit more born with, some of us see entrepreneurship in our upbringing, and so we're might be more inclined toward that. It is, it's a mindset that if you weren't born with it, I think it can be developed. It can be, learned with guidance. And but at the core of all entrepreneurs, there are people that are really willing to they're risk takers. They're willing to take that risk. They have the drive to turn their ideas into reality, and they're creative. They're passionate about what they do, and ultimately they're just willing to put their creations out there in the world at all cost.
Yeah. And that can be challenging. So you've talked about a little bit of the difference between being an entrepreneur and a business owner, having a business. Can you outline some other differences?
Yeah. So being an entrepreneur is really about having that vision for your own business, taking the necessary steps to create it. Um, and entrepreneurship is it's really defined as the process of designing, launching, and running a new business. So you design it, you come up with the idea, you launch it, and you run it. But the difference between like owning a business and being an entrepreneur is that owning a business means that, you know, like you're a business owner, you've already created the company, you're working in the company, and the entrepreneur may mean that you're creating businesses that other people might be running for you, and so it's kind of like just the difference between like who's running your business. Are you running your
Hmm.
business, or are you creating businesses that other people are going to be, running for you?
It seems for like what we do, it would be pretty tough for us, either of us, to step away, because we're the face of the company. We create the content, although somebody else could make some of it, but there's nobody else can step in and be Victoria on the camera, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So it's like I could be an entrepreneur and still be a brand of Victoria M. Gallagher, because let's just say that now within my brand of Victoria M. Gallagher, maybe I decide, that I'm going to make the best, I'm going to make all these, other businesses inside of my business, or I'm going to own other businesses outside of what I do in my brand. Maybe I develop real estate, or maybe I develop another product, or maybe
hmm,
and I actually, I mean, I do sort of see myself as at some point, it would be kind of cool to, just like get to that level where I have all the things working like clockwork within the Victoria M. Gallagher brand, and all of my apps, books, and I'm writing, and I'm, doing my YouTube videos and doing my Instagram reels, and sure would love there to be some extra time in at the end of the day where I could create a brand having to do with, kitty cats and and other
mhm.
things that I love, and that to me would be the hallmark of a true entrepreneur, is like when, you've got your own, you've basically taken your first business, and maybe you're still, the face of that business, maybe you're working in that business, but you've really branded yourself to a point where, you have all these, you can also have other entities or other companies that you're also, um, that you've invented at the same, and that are also running at the same time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What are some other qualities of entrepreneurs, so our listeners can find out: am I an entrepreneur? Do I want to be an entrepreneur? Can I
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur?
And this is what's so great about my app and my content and my upcoming app, is because, one of the things that I really love to help people do is to acquire and strengthen any of these qualities, which are, having that drive to succeed, having that willingness to take risks, having that knowingness that inside of you that you will be successful, having that ability that you can face those challenges head on, knowing that there is a possibility that, failure, or if there's some failures that you might experience along the way to getting you to that next level as a stepping stone to that success. Um, you know, eh, Entrepreneurs, they tend to be, I keep, talking about the fact that they're risk takers and they're self-starters. So all of these things are qualities that Either you have them or you can develop them. They're constant learners. They're confident communicators. They're problem solvers. And sometimes, a lot of times they tend to be very detail oriented. They're motivated. They're innovative. They're creative. So all of these things, are like content in my app that, people can listen to like learn how to become a little bit more that way, to tap into that creativity, to tap into the imagination, to like maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, but you haven't even like really figured out what is the idea that you even want to have. You can tap in, and listen to some of the hypnotherapy that can guide you to learn, like, what is it that I want to do? Who am I in this world? What are my gifts that I'm going to share? Or maybe you need help just doing the things that entrepreneurs do on a daily basis, developing the content, getting on YouTube, overcoming the camera shyness, talking to people, networking, all the things. I mean, there's a lot involved, but some people, these things come a little bit more natural. Other people, they want to do these things. They see themselves there, but it doesn't come as natural. So they need help.
What you said there is so important for you to understand if you're out there, is that you don't have to be born like this. You don't have to, like I was afraid to be on camera when I first started doing it. So you can't just think that other people find it easy to do those things or that they're comfortable with it. You can. I also have a kind of a fun story about being a self-starter, because I've always been an entrepreneur, but I've never been maybe a self-starter. I couldn't push myself that well. And the last episode we talked about the Pacific Northwest Hypnosis Conference. When I first posted about that, one of my friends, a colleague, he called me and he said, "Oh, that is so awesome." He goes, "I thought about something like that before, but I'm just not the guy to get those things, off the ground." And I was like, "Dude, I didn't used to be either." you know, you can learn to be that person.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And people change and evolve all the time and learn how to. I mean, there was a time where I could not public speak at all. I mean, like I wanted to, because
Mhm.
I'm a Leo. And if you know anything about Leos, we like to be in the spotlight. So as much
Yeah.
as I wanted to be in the spotlight, every time I would get in front of an audience, whether it was to sing or whether it was to speak or anything like that, as much as I wanted to be there and I wanted to feel comfortable there, I would just get so out of breath,
Mm.
and I would just get palms would just sweat and my brain would literally just freeze. And I was talking, but I didn't even know what I was saying. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience where
Oh,
you're
oh,
just
many
like,
times. Oh yeah, many times. Many
like,
times.
I don't even know what the words are that are coming out of my mouth right now, but I'm just talking and it's not going anywhere. And I'm just not making any sense. And somehow or another, my brain is going to catch up with the words that I'm saying because I just don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
And it just takes I don't know, it kind of takes a shift. I think the thing that shifted for me when because I think, in a lot of ways, sometimes, for a lot of people, entrepreneurship is going to require you to talk to people, whether
Yeah.
it's in front of large groups, whether it's one-on-one. You are going to need to work on your ability to communicate and articulate what you want to say and be able to articulate that off the top of your head. Doing this podcast, I have to articulate and be able to speak right off the top of my head. You got to trust yourself that you've got enough information. You've got everything you've learned. It's still inside of you. You just got to draw it forth, just draw it out of you. The more you learn, the more you study your topic and the more you do your topic, the more you do the thing, the better you're going to get, and the more knowledge you're going to get, and the more you're going to be able to just trust yourself that you have everything inside of you that it takes to be there. But what was I going to say? Oh, the thing that got me over that hump from um, being, scared, and not necessarily scared to speak in public, but just that going, blank and brain freezing and all of that, was I just switched how I thought about it. And I switched from, how am I doing? How am I doing right now? What did people think about me? Like,
Mm,
am I doing a good job in my delivery? And how
mm.
do I look? And how do I sound? And how am I coming across? And do I look confident? Do I look intelligent? Do I look smart? Blah, 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 right? I took the focus off of like, how am I coming across to like, how can I help you? Like, how can I'm here to teach these people something. I'm here to give these people a gift. How can I deliver this to the very best so that they come away knowing something, and having a transformation and having a shift happen in them? And it doesn't matter what I look like, it doesn't matter what I sound like. This isn't about me, this is about them and the gift that I have to share with them. And it does require just a little bit of self-confidence and a little bit of trust and a little bit of self-esteem to kind of come to that place inside of yourself to realize that, like, okay, I have something that I need to share with this person that's going to help them. And really, that in and of itself, that's the spirit of an entrepreneur. Is like, I have something inside of myself to share with the world. And it may
That's what it
be
is.
what you, you know, and just coming to that place, and how valuable is that for people to get that, to and how valuable it is for people to have that is, I think, akin to how much you're willing to put out there, the risk of looking bad, the risk of failing, the risk of spending all your money, the risk of all of the energy and everything that you put into it, is really what this whole thing is all about. And if you can get to that, if you can get to that place where it's like, I got to share this, with people, um, then you're an entrepreneur, essentially.
Agree completely. You feel like you just got to share it. You got to. You have no choice. How
Yeah.
can us? It's like, yeah, you sometimes you want to quit, but you're like, I can't because I got stuff to say, stuff to help people with.
Exactly. Exactly.
um, so how can we as entrepreneurs use the law of attraction to get more of what we want and less what we don't want?
Oh, yes, definitely. Well, I mean, we're talking about like my two favorite topics in the whole wide world
Right
together
on.
in one, entrepreneurs using law of attraction. And, so law of attraction is, a spiritual principle that, really helps to explain how people can have, positive thoughts, how people can have negative thoughts. So obviously, one of the ways that entrepreneurs can use law of attraction is to switch their thinking from what could go wrong to what could go right. Using visualization, using the power of positive affirmations, using meditation, all to direct your attention on what could go right, what's going to go right, focusing on the positive outcome, focusing on, what it is that you want, even using law of attraction to ask the mind, ask the intuition. We talked about intuition last week, using law of attraction to get in touch with, what is the mindset? What is the thing that I need to do? What is the action that I need to be taking? What's going to help me to make this desire a reality, and helping you and getting a clear vision on, what kind of actions it's going to take for you to make this happen. And so, your vision could be as simple as, I need to make this blog post. I need to, just start a blog. I need to start a YouTube channel. I want to be, I want to help people learn how to lose weight. I want to help people learn how to, become a success in their business, whatever it is, just having a simple idea that you want to, help people to overcome. And law of attraction can like really help you by, simply just, you attracting more of the same types of thoughts, and realizing that if you're thinking positive, you're seeing yourself becoming a success, you're using your affirmations every day to become a success, you're going to attract more and more of those ideas. You're going to attract more and more of those thoughts. You're going to attract the people, the circumstances, the situations, the books, the courses, whatever it is, whatever you need, whatever that missing piece is for you, to take your business, your life to the next level. And so that's essentially how, law of attraction just kind of, just helps you attract more of the same. And it can help you, or it can work against you. So hopefully, you understand by now, after watching this, listening to this podcast by now, that, it's all about, continuing to redirect your focus all the time, just redirecting your focus. We all have to do it, and redirecting your focus on what it is that you want to create in this world and in your life.
Fantastic. Anything else we need to know?
Oh, I think I covered it. I think just the last thing I might say about that is just, don't get caught up on the how, and really just get caught up in the why, and think about why it's important for you to make a difference in this world, and what that
Mm.
means for not just you, but what that would mean, if you really were able to make your dream a reality, your business dreams of becoming an entrepreneur, how that's going to affect the world. And, if you have an idea in your heart, if you have, a desire, you came equipped with the how. So it's just a matter of allowing yourself to embrace who you are and what you're meant to be, and allow it to happen, allow it to unfold.
I guess that brings us to the end of our podcast.
It does. It does. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for listening and watching. Be sure to leave a comment on the video if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast wherever you are listening. Subscribe, and definitely leave a review. Because we are giving you a chance to win a free custom hypnosis session every month. All you need to do is leave a review, screenshot it, send me a copy of your screenshot, and I will put you in a drawing to win a free custom hypnosis recording by me. And also, everybody has an opportunity to get a free gift called Manifest Wealth Meditation. Just go to victoriamgallagher.com/free-gift. Download it there. And finally, if there's any other topics you'd like to discuss, just send me an email at victoria@victoriamgallagher.com. Make any suggestions. I'd love to know what you want to know about. And of course, be sure to download the HypnoCloud app or the other app from the App Store. The other app is either there or coming soon. We'll let you know. I'll let you know. But bye for now. Thank you so much for being here and watching, and we will see you next time.